Consider a being that disregards rules, requires no permission, and seeks no validation. This being is capable of averting an airplane crash, sabotaging the Olympic Games, forecasting an earthquake, and dismissing a professor from their position. It sleeps for 16 hours daily and afterward alters someone's life significantly. This is not a superhero. It is a cat. This video showcases 100 astonishing facts about cats that will evoke laughter, amazement, bewilderment, and exclamations of, "That's impossible!" However, it is true. The topics range from ancient Egypt and Cold War espionage to cats holding mayoral offices, cats serving as witnesses, philosophical cats, and even cats who have successfully circumvented established systems. Do you believe you are familiar with cats? Following this video, your certainty will be diminished. Let's begin. The first point. The Egyptians' reverence for cats in ancient Egypt transcended simple affection. A cat in ancient Egypt held a status far beyond that of a mere pet. It symbolized grace, protection, and was directly associated with the goddess Bastet. The killing of a cat was punishable by death. This is not an exaggeration. Archaeological discoveries reveal cat mummies interred with the same meticulous care as those of high-ranking individuals. Many Egyptians demonstrated their grief over the loss of a cat by shaving their eyebrows and remaining so until regrowth. An ancient papyrus recounts an instance where an army withdrew from battle to prevent harming cats present in the war zone. The reasoning was straightforward. Harming a cat was considered an affront to the goddess, and who would deliberately seek conflict with a deity?
Fact number 2. Cats prevented a rodent plague in the early Middle Ages, yet received no recognition. In early medieval Europe, cats were initially accepted, but subsequently became associated with witchcraft. Black cats were especially persecuted. They were considered capable of casting spells. The issue was that the more cats were eliminated, the more prolific rats and mice became. This resulted in a paradox. Following these purges, famines and epidemics occurred. It seemed nature was trying to communicate, restore the feline sanitation workers. However, people ignored these signs. It was only during the Black Death, when the role of rodents in spreading the disease became apparent, that attitudes towards cats shifted. Sadly, countless lives and crops could have been spared had people trusted cats earlier.
Fact number 3. The emperors of Japan presented cats as a token of their utmost benevolence. In the Heian period, around the 9th century, the Japanese aristocracy was deeply enamored with cats. An emperor composed a poem about his own cat, the essence of which was, "He is like a white mist protecting my scroll." Cats resided in the imperial palace, occasionally transported in containers as precious objects. A cat gifted by the emperor to a high-ranking official signified not merely luxury, but also unwavering trust. There are accounts of cats being mentioned in official palace records and receiving titles. Yes, titles. Some were born commoners, some barons, and some cats of barons. Fourth fact. A cat nearly thwarted the discovery of America due to its fondness for fish. Prior to his maiden voyage in 1492, Christopher Columbus personally authorized a list of animals to be transported on his ships. This list included several cats for the purpose of rodent control. The journey proceeded without incident until a particularly agile cat detected fish concealed in the hold and made its escape. Other cats followed suit, resulting in a full-blown chase. A sailor fell overboard in an attempt to apprehend the fleeing feline. Columbus subsequently noted in his log, "The animals on board show character." A less diplomatic interpretation might be, "Give me that damned cat already." Fifth fact. Cats served effectively in intelligence operations during the First World War. During the First World War, cats performed roles beyond simple rat catching in the trenches. Some were involved in actual military operations. The British, for instance, trained cats to detect leaks of poisonous gas, leveraging their superior sense of smell.
Cats would exhibit distress or attempt escape before humans detected any gas. The French utilized cats as covert scouts, attaching microphones or messages and sending them across neutral territory. The cats' personal perspectives on their wartime roles remain unknown, but historians believe their contributions were undervalued. There's a tale. A cat appeared in a French dugout, a note around its neck reading, "This cat was called Napoleon. Now he is called Albert. He chose us. Your move." The French soldiers found this amusing, dubbed the cat a double agent, and kept him. Albert survived the war, receiving a medal and a personal bowl in the mess hall. The identity of the bowl's washer remains a mystery.
Fact number 6. A unique court case occurred in France, a trial of cats. During the 15th century, Europe was characterized by a lack of rational thought. This was especially true in France, where the court in Talente, Burgundy region, heard a case against cats. The charge was mass assistance to witchcraft. The proceedings lasted for several days. The court found a group of cats, presumably black, guilty of aiding evil forces. The sentence? Execution by burning. Eyewitness accounts indicate that the townspeople reacted not with horror, but with irritation. Well, what do you know? They just meowed. This was an unusual case of absurd justice met with a public demand for reason. Fact number 7. In London, in the year 1664, even before the time of Sherlock Holmes, there lived a shoemaker, John Felton, who gained renown because of his cat. Following a robbery at his home, the police investigating the scene observed that the cat was agitated only near one particular corner. A bag of precious jewels was discovered hidden there. The investigation revealed that the thief, posing as a workman, had returned to the house and secreted the stolen goods. The cat, clearly possessing a strong sense of territoriality, revealed the hiding place by persistently scratching at the floorboards. This incident is recorded as the first documented case of an animal assisting in a criminal investigation. And yes, the cat was thereafter permitted to sleep on its owner's boots without any limitations. 8th fact. A cat-only island exists in Japan, and this is no fabrication. Beginning in the 18th century, the fishermen of Inoshima Island began feeding cats to safeguard their catches from mice. At first, there were approximately 10 cats. This number subsequently increased to hundreds. The cats ultimately came to dominate the island. Having become full residents, they spread across the entire island. The human inhabitants did not evict them. Rather, they designated them as an unofficial symbol. During the 20th century, Inoshima transformed into a tourist hotspot. Visitors were captivated by this feline paradise. Currently, the island's cat population surpasses its human population. Importantly, none of the cats are subject to taxation. Fact number 9. A cat almost caused a diplomatic incident between France and Great Britain. A French diplomat, accompanied by a pure white Persian cat, arrived in London in 1898 for a significant mission. At Buckingham Palace, the cat escaped and entered the Prince of Wales' rooms. It proceeded to cause considerable damage, breaking crockery, damaging documents, and soiling a glove. This resulted in an international disagreement. The French were insulted, the British were distressed. The cat was subsequently located, fed, placed on a velvet cushion, and returned to its owner as an honored guest. The Prince of Wales, from that point on, always checked that the door was closed. The 10th fact. A cat's mayoral tenure was officially accepted without objection. In the year 2012, in Talkeetna, Alaska, a feline named Stubbs achieved the honorary position of mayor. His election was a humorous response to the residents' dissatisfaction with all other candidates. The decision was simple: let's have a cat. And so it was. Stubbs fulfilled his mayoral duties, greeting tourists, enjoying catnip-infused water from a glass, and even surviving a dog attack. He was beloved by the townspeople, honest, fiscally responsible, and free of scandal. Following Stubbs' passing in 2017, many advocated for the election of only animals. Why not? If you relate to this ideal mayor, share your proposed name for a feline mayor in the comments. Fact number 11. The age of the oldest discovered cat burial is 9,000 years. Archaeologists on the island of Cyprus discovered a unique burial in 1997, a human and a cat interred together. Its age is estimated to be around 9,000 years. The cat's skeletal remains indicate it was domesticated. The bones were positioned neatly, without any signs of trauma, and a stone bowl was found nearby. Given the absence of wild cats in Cyprus during that period, the animal was deliberately brought there. This makes this burial the earliest known evidence of a bond between humans and cats. Therefore, even in ancient times, people recognized who was the rightful owner of the sofa. Fact number 12. The repeal of a law in ancient Rome during the 1st century BC was a result of feline intervention. A consul introduced a tax on household pets, justifying it by their shared living space with humans. This sparked outrage, particularly among affluent Roman women who valued cats as status symbols. These women staged a protest at the forum, bringing their cats. One woman even wrapped herself in yarn and declared a hunger strike until the law's repeal. The Senate capitulated. The law was revoked after 3 days, the consul resigned, and the cats retained their tax-free status. They remained untaxed, like deities. Fact number 13. Napoleon Bonaparte harbored a strong aversion to cats, and the cats returned the sentiment. Historical sources concur. Napoleon suffered from a pathological fear of cats. Eyewitness accounts recount an incident where he leaped from his chair upon seeing a sleeping cat as if he had seen a specter. This became a source of amusement in his staff. Soldiers would introduce a black cat into the general's tent and observe the great commander's panicked reaction. Notably, biographers report that cats, seemingly sensing his fear, actively sought his proximity. One even entered his boot during the night. It may have been retribution for all of Europe. Fact number 14. Cats help sailors traverse half the globe and survive. In the era of the great geographical discoveries, cats became official members of ship crews. Their primary role was rat control. Rats damaged rigging, consumed supplies, and spread disease. But their contribution went beyond pest control. Cats became good luck charms. Sailors believed cats could predict storms and advise on whether to raise sails. Some captains meticulously documented their cat's behavior in ship logs. One Dutch captain, for instance, requested to be buried not with his pipe, as was tradition, but with his purring boatswain, a cat named Hannibal. This unusual request was honored. The 15th fact. A cat gained access to the 3rd Directorate of the KGB and made it his home. In the early 60s of the last century, during the flourishing of espionage, a cat spontaneously entered one of the Moscow buildings of the Committee for State Security. Attempts were made to remove him, but he stubbornly returned. Someone once left him some sausage, and the cat remained permanently. He was named Sturlitz. Sturlitz would sit on window ledges, look into offices, and had a habit of lying only on the suitcases of newly arrived agents. He was eventually added to an unofficial list, object of undisclosed surveillance. Remarkably, the cat bypassed all security clearances. And now for an extra detail. It is said that Sturlitz once ventured out and came back with a kitten. There are suggestions that this was a new recruited agent. Officers from a neighboring department even filed a report. Object number SHA-01 displays suspicious initiative. Monitoring is required. The kitten was soon also nicknamed Mueller. 16th fact. Rumors connect Mary Stuart's execution to a cat. During the 16th century's turbulent political climate between England and Scotland, an interrogation included the claim that Queen Mary Stuart harbored a devilish creature in her quarters. This was a black cat that traveled with her frequently. English Protestants cited this as supporting evidence, implying a connection between cat ownership and witchcraft. Although not formal evidence, rumors of her unusual fondness for a satanic animal fueled several accusations. The cat vanished without a trace less than 2 years before Mary's execution. Fact number 17. Cats were present during the Great Fire of London, and some of them were documented in historical records. In 1666, London suffered a catastrophe. A devastating fire destroyed over 13,000 homes. Among the rescued were cats, saved alongside their owners. An eyewitness described a black soot-covered creature that a woman kept under her clothing while fleeing through the streets. Subsequently, a chronicle featured a separate entry about a cat called Magic. She returned to her house 7 days after the fire and settled on the rubble where her stove once stood. It was said that all the neighbors fed her, believing her to be a guardian of the city. 18th fact. Emperor Peter the Great appreciated cats, but only those that performed their duties. Under Peter the Great's rule in Russia, cats were officially introduced to the Winter Palace to control the rat population. The emperor personally ordered the bringing of hunting cats from Kazan, home to a breed renowned for its exceptional hunting abilities. The felines quickly adapted to life in the imperial quarters, and soon they received almost as much care as the kitchen staff. Nevertheless, Peter did not condone laziness. A cat could stay in the palace only if it successfully caught mice. Failure to perform its task led to its removal. Therefore, even among the meowing residents, there was no room for idleness. Fact number 19. The year 1972 saw President Richard Nixon's visit to China, a visit of significant historical importance. The meeting went as planned until a cat unexpectedly appeared. It entered the negotiation room, climbed onto the table, and rubbed against Mao Zedong's clothing. All present were momentarily stunned. Nixon, maintaining composure, stroked the cat. Mao Zedong observed, "A cat that doesn't catch mice is still good if it's beautiful." This was a quote from an ancient Chinese proverb. The atmosphere relaxed, and the talks proceeded more smoothly. Remarkably, the cat was never found after the incident, a true master of diplomacy. And finally, another story. Journalists accompanying the delegation later recounted that the cat was an undercover agent with a fluffy exterior. One photographer claimed to have seen the cat look back 3 times before entering the room, checking its rear. A China expert confessed in his memoirs, she was the most charismatic participant in the meeting. 20th fact. A forgotten feline astronaut. In the year 1963, France launched an animal into space, an event largely unknown, a cat named Félicette. She was the first cat in space. Félicette experienced 15 minutes of weightlessness, returned safely to Earth, and successfully endured landing. Scientists tracked her vital signs using electrodes attached to her head. Félicette remained tranquil, did not vocalize, and showed no signs of distress. The experiment was considered a success. Nevertheless, the animal was euthanized post-mission for the advancement of science. A memorial was erected 50 years later, thanks to the dedication of students and cat enthusiasts worldwide. If you were previously unaware of Félicette, acknowledge her contribution. Even animals can be heroes. A single cat led to widespread dismissals at a Soviet factory. In the year 1978, a striped cat took up residence at a defense plant outside Omsk. Workers provided it with food. It napped on components and attended all work breaks. It unexpectedly appeared in an official photograph of completed equipment, directly on an item destined for military export. This photograph, depicting a rocket with a cat in a sphinx-like posture beside it, was sent to Moscow. The response was swift. The photographer was dismissed, the shop supervisor received a reprimand, and the deputy director was demoted. As for the cat, it simply transferred to a different shop and continued its activities, now free from cameras. The 22nd fact. The richest cat in history received an inheritance of $1,800,000. A British billionaire, Blackwell, died in the year 1997.
The unexpected part of her will was that the lion's share of her wealth went to her cat, Blackie. This included a personal residence, servants, a bank account, and a lifetime supply of fresh salmon. Relatives were outraged, but the law favored the cat, or more accurately, the trust established for him. Blackie lived a long life, avoiding interviews and political involvement. He was indeed a fortunate feline. 23rd fact. Cats possess the ability to identify cancer and other illnesses through olfactory means, having saved numerous lives. In the early 2000s, a cat called Oscar resided in an American hospital. His presence was not coincidental. He lived in a hospice ward and, somehow, sensed when a patient's life was nearing its end within less than a day. He would approach the patient, lie down nearby, and shortly after, medical staff would record the death. Initially, the medical professionals attributed this to coincidence. However, it later became apparent that the cat detected alterations in the body's chemical composition. Oscar became an unofficial assistant to the nurses and provided psychological support to the patients' families. Subsequent scientific research confirmed that cats can detect diseases via the scent of skin. This makes cats potential medical assistants. 24th fact. Cats are officially employed in museums, possessing permits and adhering to a work schedule. The Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg would be incomplete without its feline residents. Since the 18th century, these cats have inhabited the basements and corridors, eliminating mice and safeguarding the collections from rodent damage. Currently, they receive care from dedicated staff. A curator oversees their well-being, a special kitchen caters to their dietary needs, and each cat even possesses a passport. Each cat has a unique name, a feeding schedule, and a comprehensive medical record. Some cats perform entrance duty, greeting visitors. Others exhibit remarkable decorum, sleeping exclusively on reproductions, leaving the original artworks undisturbed. In the 2000s, the Hermitage staged an exhibition titled The Cat in Art, presented, as it were, from the perspective of the cats themselves. The 25th fact. A cat nearly disrupted Elvis Presley's concert, yet ultimately shared the final bow. During a 1958 performance by Elvis in Memphis, a white, fluffy cat unexpectedly bounded onto the stage. It ambled past the microphones, rubbed against the bassist's leg, and curled up near the amplifier. Security personnel attempted to remove the cat, but the audience began chanting, "Leave it!" Elvis chuckled, sat beside the cat, and performed a blues improvisation, his lyrics suggesting, "This lady understands showmanship." The cat remained for the duration of the concert and even participated in the final bow. For several years following this event, the cat was a regular sight at the club, evolving into a local legend. By the way, there's a story. The cat's name was Miss Meowfus. It was believed that she belonged to the club owner, but would invariably escape whenever she heard the sound of a guitar. It was said that she would scratch at the doors if the music displeased her. On one occasion, she reportedly chewed through a cable during a competing singer's performance. Elvis, it is rumored, later remarked, "She's my first fan with whiskers." 26th fact. Chess and cats. Kasparov's defeat attributed to a cat. In a game played in 1994, Garry Kasparov lost to an obscure grandmaster. In a subsequent interview, he explained that he was continually distracted during his preparation by a hotel cat. The cat would perch on the windowsill and fix its gaze on the chessboard, seemingly studying the positions. "I felt his gaze on me. He clearly knew I was about to make a stupid move," Kasparov stated. Following this event, the grandmaster made it a point to book rooms without animals. However, rumor has it that he once made an exception for a kitten sleeping in his chest bag. 27th fact. In 2002, a peculiar incident occurred in a Brooklyn, New York neighborhood. A grocery store was robbed, and the perpetrator fled into the surrounding yards. Police conducted a search for several hours, yielding no results. A local resident then alerted the officers to her cat, stating, "My cat found something."
The cat guided the police to a decaying shed, persistently attempting to enter underneath it. Hidden beneath the shed, amongst various boxes, the suspect was found. The cat was later named Agent Fluffball and gained local fame. Its picture, wearing a police badge on its collar, circulated in the local newspapers. 28th fact: the involvement of cats in elections is more frequent than one might assume. During the 2000s, cases were documented in Iceland, Canada, Australia, and Russia, where voters inscribed the names of their feline companions on ballots. A specific example involves a Quebec village where a cat named Balthazar received 24 votes. He was subsequently appointed head of a local interest group, recognized as the most popular resident. The voters' rationale was straightforward. Our politicians behave worse than my cat in the litter box. Occasionally, these election actions led to meetings attended by the cats themselves. Interestingly, the cats exhibited significantly better decorum than many public officials. The 29th fact: some cats are left-handed, and it's true. It's surprising, but cats, just like people, have a preferred paw. Researchers performed an experiment. They gave 100 cats the challenge of extracting food from a container. The results revealed that approximately 70% of the cats displayed a clear preference. Some used their left paw, others their right. It's noteworthy that male cats more frequently used their left paw, while female cats preferred their right. Furthermore, this paw preference remained consistent over many years. Therefore, if your cat consistently offers you its paw with one side, congratulations, you have a left-pawed cat at home. Although, of course, it won't be shoeing horses. The 30th fact: a cat achieved TikTok fame by defeating its owner in a chess match. A South Korean user posted a video in 2022 showing him setting up a chessboard when his cat unexpectedly entered the frame. The cat delicately moved one piece with its paw and repositioned another. The owner humorously remarked, "Good move." The video garnered millions of views, sparking a lively discussion in the comments. It performed castling. No, it's a meow gambit. The cat was given a TikTok account named Capablanca, and a series of chess games were filmed. Viewers are divided, some believing the owner is playing for the cat, others convinced the cat is a genius. It's undeniable that the cat's intelligence surpasses those who use a coffee cup in place of a chess piece during castling. Admit it in the comments. Who has attempted to teach their cat to move like a knight, or even just prevent it from knocking a rook off the windowsill? Fact number 31: domestic cats are to blame for the extinction of over 30 animal species. Scientists have documented since the beginning of the 20th century that feral domestic cats are among the most damaging species to ecosystems, particularly island ecosystems. In New Zealand, for instance, cats nearly completely wiped out native songbird populations within a few decades, as these birds lacked experience with such predators. On Macquarie Island, Australia, cats eliminated tens of thousands of rabbits, birds, and seals over a century. Scientists jokingly refer to them as an ecological version of the Terminator. And yes, all these cats were initially ordinary house cats. They were simply released, and species began to vanish. 32nd fact: a cat was officially appointed as a pest control officer in a British museum. The London Postal Museum employed a cat named Tibbles from the late 19th century until the 20th century. She was hired to combat a rat problem and officially held the position of rodent catcher. Tibbles not only successfully eliminated the rats, but also gained immense popularity, earning a certificate, a medal, and a bonus of extra tuna. A monument was erected in her honor after her death. Interestingly, some museum exhibits are now largely unknown, while everyone knows about the cat. 33rd fact: the cat pendulum practice is an ancient tradition steeped in mysticism. Tibetan and Mongolian shamans believed cats could predict future events. They would place a cat on a cloth in the center of a yurt and observe its movements. Movement to the left foretold bad news, to the right a bountiful harvest. A lying cat signified the risk of illness.
Cats moving consistently clockwise were highly prized. Contemporary researchers have uncovered several manuscripts describing cats as whiskered links between worlds. Indeed, their gaze can be quite mesmerizing. 34th fact: the true story of a cat saving a child from a snake. In 2005, in India, a cat called Charu gained national fame. A poisonous snake entered the house and was moving towards the baby's cot. The parents were in an adjacent room. The cat attacked the snake, hitting it several times with its paws, then pulling it under the bed and restraining it. The adults rushed in when they heard the commotion. Medical experts confirmed the snake was venomous. Its bite could have been lethal. Charu subsequently received a medal and a basket of dried fish from the mayor. This, admittedly, sounds far more appealing than a formal commendation. Fact number 35. Cats possess the ability to predict earthquakes, providing warnings earlier than any technological instruments. Research conducted in Japan, Italy, and China reveals unusual cat behavior several hours prior to seismic activity. This behavior includes hiding, excessive meowing, scratching at doors, and refusal of food. A Tokyo University study indicated that up to 90% of cats exhibited anxious behavior within 12 hours preceding an earthquake. Scientists hypothesize that cats detect ultrasonic vibrations or alterations in the magnetic field. Consequently, in certain villages, cats are utilized as biosensors. The statement, "Morka ran away into the closet," serves as an evacuation signal. However, there is a lesser-known detail. In the Japanese village of Okazaki, a sign reads, "If the cat Noriko does not come out of the basement, cancel the wedding and turn off the gas." Her influence was such that a local festival was once postponed. The reason? Noriko blocked the entrance and hissed. 3 hours later, an earthquake struck. She is now known as Madame Presentiment. The 36th fact concerns cats officially employed in British jails. In the early 20th century, several British prisons maintained a population of cats, each officially registered with individual identification cards and names. These cats resided in prison cells, kitchens, and basements, serving as effective rat catchers. Wormwood Scrubs Prison in London meticulously documented these feline staff members in a dedicated register. The most renowned of these cats was Susie, who lived to the age of 16 and was regarded as a good luck charm for new inmates. Prisoner lore held that Susie's approach signified an easy sentence, while her avoidance foretold difficulties. Legend further states that Susie had a favored warden whom she greeted at the prison gates each morning at 7. 37th fact. A cat traveled by hitchhiking across the whole of Germany and returned to its home. In 2007, a German family lost their cat, named Hans, when it escaped during a holiday in the south of the country. After 9 months, it returned home, significantly thinner but alive. The owners discovered that truck drivers and service station employees had fed Hans during his journey. One even nicknamed him Chef because of his bold habit of entering truck cabs. The method by which he found his way home remains unexplained. Scientists suggest that cats use the Earth's magnetic field for navigation. The owners believe he simply missed his home. Hans himself, like a true German, remained silent and ate sausages. 38th fact. Cats are unable to recognize their own reflection in a mirror. However, this does not seem to concern them. In contrast to certain animals, dolphins, elephants, and ravens, cats fail the so-called mirror self-recognition test. If a mark is placed on their forehead and they are shown their reflection, they will disregard it. The most they might do is hiss or leave the area. Nevertheless, there is a qualification. Cats readily distinguish the reflection of a human, their own tail, or even a fly in flight. The hypothesis among psychologists is that cats simply do not consider it important who or what is in the mirror. Their primary concern is undisturbed sleep. This, arguably, is the most rational response to one's own image. 39th fact. Cats can manipulate their voices to make it hard for us to deny their requests. The sound of a cat's meow is not simply a collection of sounds. Scientists at the University of Sussex in 2009 found that cats include sound components similar to a baby's cry in their requests. The high-frequency element in a meow affects the human brain like a baby's cry, activating the instinct to respond immediately. This trick is employed by cats living with people. Street cats do not meow like this. In other words, they have evolved into manipulators, and we succumb to it, happily. 41st fact. A cat in New Zealand accidentally became a weather forecasting celebrity. In the year 2016, during a live television weather report on TVNZ, a cat jumped onto the presenter's desk. The presenter didn't lose his composure, continuing his report about the cyclone while stroking the cat and saying, "We have a fluffy drop in pressure here." The video quickly spread online. The cat was named Mediasha and began to be regularly invited to the studio. She would sit on the weather maps, look at the camera, and sometimes yawn. The presenter would often make jokes like, "If Mediasha curls up, grab an umbrella. If she leaves, call off the picnic." It's noteworthy that the accuracy of the forecasts improved. A furry weather assistant would certainly make weather reports more engaging. What would you name your own cat meteorologist? Fact number 41. A cat survived 3 shipwrecks. This is a confirmed fact, not a fiction. In the Second World War, a British seaman adopted a cat called Oscar. The cat was initially aboard the battleship Bismarck, which was subsequently sunk. Oscar miraculously survived and was rescued by another vessel, the destroyer Cossack. A month later, this destroyer also sank. Once again, the cat was saved. He was taken in by a third ship, the Arcadia. Weeks later, a third incident happened. The ship was torpedoed. The ship didn't sink this time, but suffered significant damage. Oscar survived. He was then nicknamed Unsinkable Sam and sent to shore for retirement. His extraordinary maritime luck was undeniable. Fact number 42. A cat unexpectedly participated in the filming of The Godfather, contributing to the creation of an iconic scene. In the opening scene of The Godfather, Marlon Brando is depicted holding a quiet gray cat. The script, however, did not originally include a cat. The cat arrived on set, climbed onto the actor's lap, and refused to move. Director Francis Ford Coppola decided to keep the cat in the scene. Consequently, Brando pets the cat while discussing his family's affairs, resulting in one of cinema history's most memorable moments. The sound recording equipment almost ruined the take due to the cat's loud purring. Instead of Don Corleone, it sounded like Mer Corleone. Fact number 43. The role of cats in medieval scriptoria included protecting manuscripts from rodents, yet one cat inadvertently damaged a valuable manuscript. During the Middle Ages, the manual copying of books in scriptoria frequently involved the presence of cats as a deterrent to rodents. Nevertheless, on one occasion, a cat walked across a newly written text, leaving distinct paw prints in the still wet ink. This manuscript has been preserved and is currently housed in the National Library of Croatia. The monk responsible for transcribing the text added the following annotation: "Cursed be he who let the beast in here." Experts confirm the authenticity of the paw prints, dating the manuscript to over 500 years ago. The cat may have simply been seeking warmth. Furthermore, another manuscript, held within a Belgian library, exhibits a stain believed to be cat urine. The copyist's inscription states, "Cursed be the cat that defiled this writing. May the Lord forgive him, for I cannot." The irony inherent in this situation remains a striking testament to the Middle Ages. 44th fact. Learning to ask correctly from a cat. Professor Gerald Foster, an American behavioral psychologist, performed a study to investigate the development of the skill of manipulative requesting in animals. He kept a cat called Ellie and implemented a rule:
Food was given only upon a gentle paw touch to his leg. Within 2 weeks, the cat learned, harsh blows, no. Gentle touch, yes. Subsequently, she applied this method to other people, massaging their knees and wrists. Foster later acknowledged, "The cat taught me better than I taught her." Ellie, by the way, was featured in magazines as a fluffy negotiation trainer. Fact number 45. A cat almost became a resident of the International Space Station. In the year 2019, a virtual cat named Orion was introduced on the ISS as part of a project designed to alleviate astronaut anxiety during extended isolation. Crew members utilizing augmented reality glasses could interact with Orion, who would meow, show affection, and reportedly purr when touched. The experiment successfully demonstrated a reduction in stress levels. One astronaut confessed to interacting with the virtual feline nightly. "He doesn't interrupt, and he doesn't float in the air like a teapot," he quipped in his report. And here's a small space legend. It's said that a NASA engineer programmed Orion to vanish from the screen if the user swore. He termed this fluffy comfort censorship. Incidentally, this engineer owned 3 actual cats. 46th fact. Cats possess the ability to count, although their numerical skills are limited to 4. In the year 2016, Japanese researchers performed a series of experiments presenting cats with food in bowls containing different numbers of pieces. If the pieces were concealed under a lid, the cats retained the number in memory and selected the bowl with the larger quantity, but only if the difference was no more than 4. A greater difference resulted in a loss of interest. This phenomenon is known as limit number, and for cats it is identical to that of human infants. Therefore, if you place 5 pieces of fish and consume 1, the cat will notice, it will remember, and, perhaps, subsequently drop a cactus on you, simply due to mathematics. 47th fact. A cat's accidental call to the police nearly foiled a special operation. In 2003, in Texas, a cat called Jumbo climbed onto a table with a work telephone. He settled down, inadvertently touched the phone with his paw, and dialed the emergency services number. The dispatcher heard only rustling and strange sounds. A rapid response team arrived at the scene shortly after. The owner answered the door in a dressing gown, and Jumbo sat calmly and contentedly in the middle of the room. The police classified the incident as furry prank. The owner received a warning to keep the cat away from communication devices. 48th fact. Cats show a preference for boxes, including those that are merely drawn. Research from the British University of Lincoln revealed a square drawn on the floor with tape, chalk, or even an imaginary line will, in 9 out of 10 instances, attract a cat to sit inside it. Even the absence of physical walls doesn't deter them. This is attributed to a sense of security and spatial confinement. Cats feel more in control of their environment when contained. Researchers termed this the box illusion. The hashtag #InvisibleBox hashtag quickly went viral, showcasing cats in drawn rectangles and accumulating millions of views. It's not magic, but instinctual geometry. The 49th fact. A cat in Denmark, without his knowledge, held a university teaching position. At the University of Copenhagen, Professor Hans Brenner taught a course on behavioral biology. For an experiment, he included his pet cat as an associate project participant. The cat received an identification badge, his picture was put on the department's bulletin board, and students observed his habits daily. The cat, whose name was Theo, resided in the department, slept on desks, and occasionally disrupted lectures by lying on the projector. At semester's end, Theo was awarded the title of assistant lecturer. The ceremony was accompanied by applause. Incidentally, at that very moment, Theo was enjoying his 5th sausage on the department's desk. Number 50 fact. A cat became an unintentional participant in a crime investigation. In the year 2014, a burglary occurred in a Milwaukee apartment. Initially, it appeared there was no usable evidence. But upon reviewing security camera footage, investigators observed a peculiar detail. When the burglar entered, the cat raised its head, looked directly at the camera, and then walked away. Conversely, upon the owner's return, the cat reacted with obvious joy. The detective noticed this difference in the cat's behavior, captured a still image of the burglar's face, and identified him through a database. He later quipped, "The cat displayed more emotion than most witnesses." The cat was later nicknamed Inspector Cat as a tribute to its contribution. Admit it, who among you has a pet whose facial expression could be used as court evidence? Share in the comments. Is your cat a witness, a defense attorney, or perhaps the main suspect? 51st fact. Feline ability to interpret human emotions serves their own purposes. A study conducted in 2008 by a team of Italian zoologists revealed that cats can detect human emotions based on facial expressions and vocal tone. Over 30 domestic cats participated in the research. When their owners displayed anger through facial expressions and a stern voice, the cats avoided interaction. Conversely, a smile and gentle tone encouraged the cats to approach. Significantly, even with identical words, cats responded preferentially to a kind tone. This indicates their sensitivity to human mood. If a cat ignores you, you might be expressing displeasure too harshly.
52nd fact. During Pope Francis's visit to the cathedral in Naples in 2015, a cat unexpectedly interrupted the formal proceedings. As the Pope was being officially greeted, a cat strolled onto the red carpet. It walked unhurriedly past security, disregarding the cameras, and made its way towards the throne. The Pope chuckled and said, "She might have a message too." Interestingly, the cat was not expelled. It remained near the lectern until the ceremony concluded. The Vatican's official response was, "All God's creatures have a right to an audience, even those fluffier than us."
53rd fact. A cat mastered the skill of retrieving slippers, but not without compensation. In Ohio, a cat called Betty gained local media attention. Her owner unintentionally taught her this behavior, initially as a game, later more seriously. Crucially, Betty only performed this action in exchange for a treat. When the owner omitted the treat one time, the slippers ceased to appear. Researchers from a local college monitored her for 7 days and concluded the cat had established a behavioral exchange. This wasn't a mere trick, but a deliberate work arrangement. A professor quipped, "Next time she'll demand a contract and insurance." Fact number 54. Cats possess the ability to hear ultrasound. This is not merely a scientific observation, but a remarkable skill. The human auditory range extends to 20,000 hertz. In contrast, cats can perceive sounds up to 65,000 hertz. This superior hearing allows them to detect high-frequency sounds, such as the squeak of a rodent or the sound of approaching vehicles well before a human would. Furthermore, cats can rotate each ear independently up to 180 degrees. This gives them exceptional auditory acuity. If a cat appears to react unexpectedly, for no reason, it is likely that it has detected a sound imperceptible to humans. Or perhaps your refrigerator is emitting a faint sound. Number 55 fact. The embassy granted a cat permanent residency, making expulsion impossible. In 2009, a street cat appeared at the British Embassy in Jordan. Embassy staff began to feed it. It lived in the garden, then the hall, and finally the consul's office. During an inspection, the staff devised a solution. They registered the cat as an emotional support animal. The cat was named Dora after diplomatic reconnaissance and given a collar badge. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs later mentioned her in a report. The report wryly noted, Dora displayed exceptional abilities in reducing international tension through purring. Here is an additional diplomatic observation. It is said that Dora once approached an ambassador from another country who was irritated by a delayed meeting. The cat lay at his feet. He stroked it and smiled. The argument was resolved within a minute. The internal report termed this informal intervention by a third force. Paragraph 56. The ability of cats to perceive the Earth's magnetic field and utilize it for navigational purposes has been demonstrated. Research conducted by scientists in Germany reveals that cats employ not only visual, olfactory, and auditory cues for orientation, but also the Earth's magnetic field. Micro devices with tracking tags were implanted in cats, and their movements were monitored after being transported tens of kilometers from their homes. The majority of cats successfully returned home, even traversing unfamiliar territory. Researchers hypothesize the existence of a biocompass within the feline brain, similar to that found in birds and bees. Consequently, a cat's return from a walk is attributed not to familiarity with the route, but to its inherent ability to sense magnetic north. It should be noted that cats do not exhibit any interest in conventional compasses. 57th fact. A professor lost his job because of a cat, but not due to any incidents during lectures. In the year 2001, at Kansas University, a biology professor posted information about his cat on the department website, claiming the cat secretly directed all projects. Students enjoyed the joke. They created a biography for the cat, assigned it an academic title, and even wrote scientific papers. However, a year later, the new administration deemed the humor inappropriate for an official website. The professor was dismissed for his lack of seriousness regarding scientific reputation. Ironically, the last article on the site was titled "The Evolution of Absurdity in Academia." The cat, incidentally, was unharmed. It was invited to work in another laboratory. There was a story circulating. When the professor was packing, the cat sat in the box and wouldn't leave. Colleagues remarked, "He certainly wasn't dismissed voluntarily." At his new position, the cat was designated a laboratory consultant. He even received a business card. Dr. Murr, expert in personal space. Entry 58. A study demonstrates that cats recognize their names, regardless of any outward appearance of indifference. In 2019, Japanese researchers performed an experiment involving over 60 cats. The cats were subjected to auditory stimuli consisting of word lists, which included their individual names. Upon hearing their names, the cats generally responded by turning their heads and ears and moving their whiskers. Nevertheless, not all cats responded to being called. The conclusion? Cats understand their names but do not feel obligated to respond consistently. This is not indicative of low intelligence, but rather reflects their inherent sense of freedom. Or perhaps it's simply their style. Cat Zen. 59th fact. Cats possess the ability to deceive. More precisely, they mimic certain behaviors to achieve their desired outcome. In the early 2000 years, Canadian veterinary professionals observed a curious phenomenon. Cats who had previously experienced fish-flavored medication subsequently feigned illness to obtain more. This manifested as limping, plaintive meows, and positioning themselves near the medicine storage area. Further examinations revealed no underlying medical conditions. However, upon receiving the desired medication, the symptoms vanished. Researchers term this behavior purposeful simulation with a food motive. This type of behavior is exceptionally rare in the animal kingdom. Cats, apparently, were the first to realize that exploiting sympathy could yield rewards, particularly when accompanied by a display of dignified suffering. 60 interesting facts. A cat interrupted a football match and subsequently became the club mascot. In the year 2018, during an English Champions League match, a cat unexpectedly appeared on the field. The referee had to stop the game. The footballers waited while the animal, energetically running along the field, sniffed a player's boots and settled in the goal. The audience expressed their delight. The game resumed after 5 minutes. The cat was caught, sent to a shelter, and the next day it found a new home. At the initiative of the fans, it was made the team mascot. Now it can be seen on posters, its name is Pixie, and, they say, it brings luck in penalty kicks. Do you have a cat that breaks the rules but remains a favorite? Tell us in the comments. What did you forgive your furry mischief maker for?
61st fact: feline vision in low-light conditions. The common belief that cats possess superior night vision requires clarification. While cats are adept at navigating darkness, this ability isn't night vision in a strict biological sense. Their advantage stems from possessing 6 times the number of rod cells in their retinas compared to humans. Rod cells are photoreceptors responsible for low-light vision. In absolute darkness, however, a cat's vision is no better than a human's. Nothing is visible. Yet with even a minimal light source, such as starlight or a dimly lit corridor, a cat's vision approaches daylight levels of acuity. Furthermore, cats have a tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer behind the retina. This layer is responsible for the characteristic eye shine in darkness, which some might find unsettling without prior knowledge.
Item 62. A railway station in Japan is run by a cat. Kishi Station, situated on Shikoku Island, achieved international recognition because of a cat called Tama. During the early 2000 years, the railway line faced closure due to insufficient passenger numbers. This changed when a local worker began bringing his cat to work.
63rd fact: cats lack the ability to taste sweetness. Although cats might show interest in sweet foods like ice cream or cake, they are actually unable to taste sweetness. They are missing the necessary taste receptors on their tongues. Conversely, they possess heightened sensitivity to amino acids and fats, explaining their reaction to meat regardless of whether it is raw, cold, or packaged. Researchers hypothesize that during evolution, as obligate carnivores, cats simply lost the need for sweet tastes. Therefore, if you ever shared a dessert with your cat, remember, its interest was likely for your attention, or perhaps for the rich cream. 64th fact: an accidental keyboard incident resulted in an email being sent to the mayor. In the year 2010, in Spokane, Washington, USA, a woman named Rachel left her laptop open. Her cat, Penny, accessed the laptop, opened an email program, and inadvertently sent an email. The recipient was the mayor of Spokane. The subject line of the email was SDFHSDHSSS. The mayor, surprisingly, replied, "Nice to hear from you, Penny. If you have any complaints, meow twice." This event marked Penny as the first feline correspondent in city governance. Fact number 65. A cat witnessed the invention of the telegraph and nearly caused a laboratory fire. In the year 1844, while Samuel Morse and Alfred Vail were testing the first operational telegraph line, a cat resided in their laboratory. The cat was near the equipment when its tail accidentally dislodged a copper wire, which fell onto a heated lamp. This resulted in sparks, a loud pop, singed fur on the cat, and a near-miss fire involving the telegraph tape. The cat was rescued, the fire put out, and the inventors, as a precaution, removed their furry helper. Vail later quipped, "If the telegraph had failed, I would blame the cat factor." Luckily, the incident only resulted in a faint smell of burnt fur. Interestingly, Vail supposedly suggested naming the first telegram not "What hath God wrought," but "What hath cat caused." Morse rejected this suggestion. The details of this are undocumented. However, the cat lived a long life, its presence noted in the records as an unintentional participant in the technological revolution. Fact number 66. A cat's role in the capture of a spy during the Cold War. During the 60s, at the peak of the Cold War in East Berlin, a counterintelligence operative observed the peculiar behavior of a neighbor's cat. Nightly, the cat would approach a specific section of the wall and begin meowing anxiously. The initial assumption was that mice were the cause. However, it was subsequently discovered that a bugging device was concealed behind the wall, and the apartment was occupied by an agent relaying information to the west. The cat, with its acute hearing, responded to high-frequency signals. The neighbor effectively followed his pet, who inadvertently acted as an anti-spy. The agent was apprehended, and the cat received a kilogram of sausages as a reward. The spy, unexpectedly, had whiskers. Fact number 67. A cat's accidental rise to feminist icon status in the USA is attributed to her biting habits and distinctive personality. During the 19th century, in Massachusetts, a woman named Louisa Mayfield, a participant in the women's suffrage movement, owned a cat named Miss Havisham. The cat gained notoriety for biting only men, specifically those who contradicted her owner. Contemporary newspapers referred to her as a white, thunderous feminist on four paws. At a meeting, when a local official labeled women as overly sensitive, Miss Havisham leaped from her basket and bit him on the finger. This event became a part of the movement's history. Subsequently, her likeness appeared on campaign materials. A purring revolution in action. 68th fact. Cats demonstrate a preference for women. Scientific research supports this observation. A study conducted in 2013 by Swiss researchers involved observing the behavior of domestic cats within families. The findings were unexpected, even to the researchers. Cats interacted more frequently with women, remained closer to them for longer periods, vocalized more often, and displayed more affection towards them. The explanation lies in the similarities between human-female communication and feline communication. Women's voices generally have a higher frequency and softer tone, more akin to cat vocalizations. Men, do not be discouraged. Cats also have affection for you. They may simply exhibit more respect towards women.
Fact number 69. A cat named Meena gained an unexpected role in the village of Thiruvannamalai, located in the Tamil Nadu state of India. Each evening, she visited the local temple, settling near the entrance to listen to the chanting. This daily ritual led the villagers to believe it was a sign, prompting them to view Meena as a special animal. They offered her gifts of milk and flowers, and she even participated in religious processions. The temple priest quipped, "If she starts talking, I'll retire," acknowledging the unusual situation. Meena, however, continued her silent, dignified attendance. Her spiritual development is considered exceptionally high.
70 facts. A cat inspired Salvador Dali's renowned portrait with airborne animals. Dali Atomicus, a highly recognizable photograph from the 20th century, shows Salvador Dali levitating, surrounded by water, a chair, and 3 cats in flight. Photographer Philippe Halsman took over 20 shots to achieve the desired effect. Assistants repeatedly threw the cats into the air, simultaneously splashing water and tossing the furniture. Dali enthusiastically participated. Reportedly, the cats were unharmed but clearly unhappy. The artist later stated, "Nothing conveys surrealism as precisely as a flying cat." Indeed, the true star of the photo is not Dali himself, but the cat with its eyes closed. Who else has attempted to photograph their jumping cat and ended up with just a blurry shadow? Share your photos in the comments. Let's create a feline surrealism exhibition. Fact number 71. A cat triggered a mass panic incident on a plane. A flight from Zurich to Amsterdam in the year 2005 experienced an emergency landing. The cause? A cat called Lucy escaped its carrier and gained access to the cockpit. During the crew's attempts to capture the cat, Lucy inadvertently activated the alarm and the entire electronic system by touching a control panel. The passengers heard a loud beep beep, witnessed the ensuing chaos in the cockpit, leading to widespread panic. The aircraft landed at the nearest airport. Lucy was apprehended, comforted, fed, and subsequently prohibited from future flights. The airline's report described the event as unexpected furry interference. The pilots later confessed that even during turbulent flights, the passengers had never reacted with such intensity. 72nd fact, cats have what could be called instantaneous memory, allowing them to assess threats immediately. Research indicates that a cat can evaluate the safety of its environment within milliseconds. Their visual and auditory systems are designed for a fight or flight response. The disappearance of a cat before you can even say oops after dropping a spoon is not accidental. Cats utilize an ultra-short memory system, remembering the position of objects and sounds and instantly detecting any changes. Scientists refer to this as a sensory flash. To put it simply, it's as if, upon entering a room, you instantly knew, within half a second, everyone's location and who had dropped a Sirnik.
Fact number 73. A cat saved a library from closing simply by being there. In Spencer, Iowa, a small town, during the 2000s, the local library faced closure due to budget cuts, staff reductions, and low visitor numbers. This all changed with the arrival of a cat. The cat entered from the street, curled up on a pile of books, and remained. The library staff allowed the cat to stay, and soon visitors began coming to read and pet the cat. The cat was named Dewey. Dewey became a local celebrity with a book, an exhibition, and a documentary film created in its honor. Library attendance skyrocketed. It's said Dewey once napped on a report detailing staff cuts, and the report mysteriously vanished. Coincidence? Hardly.
74th fact. Cats employ vibrations that possess the potential for therapeutic effects on humans, with qualifications. The sound of a cat's purr is a vibration ranging in frequency from 25 to 100 Hz. This frequency range facilitates tissue regeneration and bone strengthening. Scientific studies have shown that cats, unlike dogs, rarely experience osteoporosis. Additionally, individuals who frequently interact with purring pets often report reduced stress levels, stabilized blood pressure, and accelerated wound healing. Essentially, it's a kind of furry ultrasound. The key is to avoid interrupting the process and to pet the cat under the chin regularly.
Fact number 75. A cat's assistance in apprehending a jewelry store thief effortlessly. In the year 2019, a robbery occurred at a jewelry store in Munich. The thief quickly fled the scene. Police reviewing security camera footage observed unusual behavior from a local cat, known as Frau Klotz. A minute before the break-in, the cat appeared on camera, approached the door, stopped, looked intently, and then ran away. This allowed police to precisely determine the time of the crime. Subsequently, an officer again noticed the cat by the same shop window, observing the interior once more before running away again. Camera footage confirmed the robber's return. He was arrested. Frau Klotz was rewarded with a saucer of cream and the informal title of Suspicious Glance Expert. There's a tale. Following this event, the police radio code Meow77 was introduced, signifying unusual cat behavior, immediate investigation required. Officers joked that the cat detected guilt better than a lie detector. Frau Klotz simply narrowed her eyes disdainfully. Fact number 76. Cats retain memories of kindness, but the capacity for resentment can last a lifetime. Research into the behavior of domestic cats has demonstrated that they vividly recall not only those who provide their sustenance, but also those who have inflicted harm, such as stepping on their tail. This memory is remarkably durable, particularly if the incident involved intense emotions. Documented instances exist where a cat avoided a specific person for years, only to reappear unexpectedly and leave a mouse on their pillow. Is this a gift, a form of apology, or perhaps an act of revenge, characteristic of feline nature? Experts term this phenomenon social selectivity. We simply state the fact. Cats possess exceptional memories, especially regarding the morning feeding at 7 o'clock. 77th fact. A cat served as a model for the most recognizable computer graphics of the early 2000s. Those who watched movies or played computer games in the 2000s likely saw the movements of a cat named Zoe without realizing it. In the Stanford University Animation Lab, Zoe was employed to create the first realistic 3D renderings, demonstrating an animal's movements, jumping, landing, and scratching. Her movements were tracked using a marker system and implemented in numerous projects. The developers stated she moved perfectly, and she despised the camera in a way no actor can. Her compensation, incidentally, was quite generous. Tuna.
Fact number 78. A cat prevented a house fire by awakening its owners in an unusual manner. In the year 2014, in Auckland, New Zealand, a heater in the living room ignited. 3 people were asleep inside, but only Sandy the cat detected the smoke. Instead of meowing, she employed a unique method, knocking items off shelves. A cup, a book, and a picture frame fell one by one. The breaking of a vase finally roused the homeowner. Everyone escaped safely. Firefighters reported 5 more minutes and the entire house would have been ablaze. The homeowner commented, "I promise no more diet and no more scolding for the flowers." 79th fact, cats' ability to imitate dogs. Certain cats cohabitating with dogs acquire canine habits. Researchers have documented instances of cats greeting owners at the doorway, retrieving toys, and obeying commands. This phenomenon is termed cross-species imitation, an uncommon yet plausible occurrence. Occasionally, cats will even wag their tails. Unlike dogs, however, this indicates irritation, not happiness. Therefore, if your cat begins playing fetch, don't celebrate prematurely. It may be compiling incriminating evidence. Or, perhaps, it's training you.
Fact number 80. A story from San Diego in the year 2022. A woman equipped her cat with a modern GPS-enabled collar to monitor its movements. She soon noticed that the cat disappeared every evening for 2 hours, consistently visiting the same house. Investigating, she went to the address and discovered her husband with another woman. The man explained his late returns by claiming to be working late, but the cat revealed the truth. The wife filed for divorce. The press reported the furry whistleblower proved to be more honest than the man. The cat remained with the wife while the other woman received a vacuum cleaner. Have you ever had instances where your cat spied on neighbors, or perhaps on you? Share stories about your 4-legged detectives. 81st fact. Cats are capable of recognizing their own reflection in a mirror. However, they do not regard it as a self-representation. While cats typically fail the standard mirror test, they comprehend that the reflection is not an actual cat. Their interest in the reflection diminishes rapidly in the absence of scent. Interestingly, some cats will pointedly disregard their reflection, particularly if a person with food is present. A Viennese cat named Orion even mastered the use of a mirror to monitor activity in an adjacent room. This skill is reminiscent of a spy's cunning. Or perhaps it simply reinforces the idea that mirrors are merely tools. Nevertheless, feline personalities remain unique. 82nd fact. An unplanned feline interruption of a significant interview resulted in the cat becoming a new sensation. In the year 2017, a live BBC television interview featuring an economist discussing the global economic crisis was underway. Unexpectedly, a cat entered the studio, leaping onto the keyboard and causing the camera to shut off. Viewers were presented with a black screen for a few seconds. Upon restoring the connection, the economist offered an apology, while a cat with an expression suggesting it had saved everyone from boredom remained visible. The video rapidly gained popularity, and the cat, named Mabel, received a separate studio invitation. The journalist remarked, "She had a more accurate forecast than many analysts." 83rd fact. Cats possess the ability to detect their owner's arrival even in the absence of audible cues. Numerous cat owners report that their feline companions exhibit signs of anticipation or greet them at the doorway before their vehicle arrives home. Researchers hypothesize that this phenomenon is attributable to the engine's ultrasonic emissions, the familiar cadence of footsteps, olfactory cues, air currents, and a combination of factors processed subconsciously by the cat. These remain, however, merely hypotheses. A definitive explanation is currently lacking, and it may well remain so indefinitely, because a cat is more than just a domestic animal. It is silence embodied,
equipped with whiskers and its own unique predictive capabilities.
84th fact. A cat's unexpected appearance at a Paris fashion show created a stir. At Paris Fashion Week in the year 2016, a cat unexpectedly appeared on the runway. It elegantly moved between the models, lay down on a couture gown, and proceeded to clean itself. The audience reacted with applause, photographers shifted their attention, and the designer described the event as a spontaneous art intervention. Following the show, the cat was offered a contract as an independent artist, but it declined the offer, choosing instead to leave. French media subsequently reported it was the most confident step of the entire show.
85th fact. A cat participated in a marathon and nearly finished. In 2019, during the Istanbul Marathon, participants observed a black and white cat running with them from the beginning. The cat ran several kilometers, navigating between runners, avoiding obstacles, and receiving water from volunteers. At the 5-kilometer mark, it briefly stopped at a cafe but returned 10 minutes later to continue running. It did not complete the marathon, stopping at the curb and lying down. One of the runners subsequently adopted the cat. He named it Marifa. He states, "She trains with me in the mornings, only if it's not raining." Here is an additional piece of information. Following the race, organizers announced that a new category, whiskered participants, would be added to the marathon starting the next year. This was, of course, a joke. However, given Marifa's performance, it could become a reality. After all, she performed as well as many human participants. She just didn't wear down her claws. 86th fact. Feline comprehension of physics surpasses common assumptions. Researchers at Kyoto University in the year 2016 performed a study. Cats observed closed boxes, some containing an item, others empty. Upon inverting an empty box and observing nothing emerge, the cats displayed noticeable surprise, frequently inspecting the box's interior. Conversely, if a sound indicated the presence of an object, yet the object failed to appear after inversion, the animals actively searched for it. This behavior demonstrates an understanding of causality and predictions based on physical laws. Essentially, a cat possesses a mental representation of its environment. A violation of gravity within this representation will likely result in a disapproving stare. Fact number 87. Since the year 2010, a cat called Palmerston has lived in the British Parliament in Westminster. The cat is named after Lord Palmerston, a former Prime Minister. Palmerston's official role is Chief Mouser. Her appointment was met with no opposition. She has a Twitter account, a press secretary, and a protocol for visits from official delegations. She once had a confrontation with Larry, the cat residing at the Prime Minister's residence. The media called this event the Battle of Whitehall. It's ironic that neither of these officials can talk, but both are beloved by the nation. No politician in the past 20 years has garnered so much positive attention. 88th fact. A cat won a photography competition with thousands of entries without any special effort. The winning photograph from a Seoul competition in 2020 depicted a cat sitting quietly on a windowsill. It was unfiltered, unstaged, and lacked any exotic elements. The judges commented, "This photograph embodies absolute tranquility." The photographer confessed, "I just wanted to photograph the sunrise, and she got in the way." This image outshone hundreds of epic photos featuring jumps, special effects, and studio lighting. Sometimes, to impress viewers, simply sitting is enough. And purring. 89th fact. Cats are capable of understanding other animals, particularly dogs. Contrary to common belief, cats and dogs not only peacefully coexist, but also develop intricate communication systems. Studies indicate that cats living with dogs adjust their signals. They hiss less frequently, utilize more eye contact, and even imitate tail wagging, albeit in their own manner. In addition, they learn the dog's routines, when they go for walks, play, or solicit food. In a Chicago household, a cat began bringing the leash when the dog was reluctant to go outside. The veterinarian commented, "They have their own routine. We simply occupy their space." The 90th fact. In Austin, Texas, a boy named Eli with severe autism remained nonverbal from birth for 8 years. Various therapies yielded no results. The adoption of a rescued cat marked a turning point. After petting and observing the cat, Eli spoke his first word after a month, meow. This was followed by cat and go. His parents were overjoyed, while his therapist was astonished. Now a teenager, Eli has 3 cats and aspires to be a veterinarian. His first cat, Luna, continues to sleep at his feet. Share your story if a cat has positively impacted someone's life. Sometimes a single meow conveys more than 1,000 words.
Fact number 91. In Rotterdam in 2021, a local radio station experienced an unexpected event. The presenter left the studio for a short break, forgetting to switch off the microphone and leaving the control panel accessible. His cat, which habitually rested beneath the console, seized the opportunity. It jumped onto the panel, inadvertently activating a control, and unexpectedly broadcast live on air. Initially, listeners heard rustling sounds, followed by intense purring, and then the clicking of buttons. Within 24 hours, the broadcast attracted over 800,000 listeners, and the cat, called No-No, was hailed as the most relaxing DJ of the year. Consequently, the radio station launched a dedicated nighttime program, Cat FM, Music for Purring.
Fact number 92. It has been demonstrated that cats can identify their own names even when mentioned in a conversation between other individuals. In a study, researchers presented cats with audio recordings of different people speaking various words, some of which included the cat's names. The cats showed no response to unfamiliar words, but when their own names were spoken, they exhibited signs of attention: ear movement, blinking, and head turning. This happened even when the name was embedded within a broader conversation, not as a direct address. The researchers concluded that cats do more than simply distinguish their owner's voice. They selectively attend to significant auditory signals, and their name is one such signal. In other words, they hear you. They just choose not to respond, because you are not a cat.
Fact 93. In the year 2018, in Lithuania, a cat belonging to the Ministry of Defense gained unauthorized access to the minister's office. During a press visit, one of the several cats kept on the ministry premises entered the office unnoticed. The cat then proceeded to climb onto the desk and settled down for a nap on a stack of documents marked for official use only. The cat subsequently refused to move. The minister responded with a humorous comment. "Now, if a document leaks, we'll say a cat took it." The post office published a photograph of the sleeping cat with the caption, "Secrets are safe, especially if they're under a cat." Fact number 94. Cats possess the ability to modify their vocalizations to improve communication with humans. Domestic felines cohabitating with humans for over 3 years begin to alter the pitch and tempo of their meows to suit the human. This phenomenon is supported by research conducted in Japan, the United States, and Italy. Cats living with senior citizens vocalize more slowly and softly. When interacting with children, their meows become more frequent and higher pitched. Moreover, they can mimic aspects of human speech patterns, prolonging sounds when a human sings and responding briefly during disagreements. While not a fully developed language, this clearly demonstrates conscious imitation. Therefore, cats are learning about us and likely perceive us as somewhat intellectually limited. Fact number 95. A live broadcast from a bridge in Tokyo during the 2021 Olympic Games, aired on a Japanese television channel, was unexpectedly interrupted. A black and white cat calmly walked into the frame, crossed the bridge, and stopped directly in front of the camera. It sat down and proceeded to clean its paw, remaining on screen for approximately 1 minute. The video quickly went viral on social media, with users affectionately naming the cat Kotonose, the game's feline mascot. Journalists later discovered that the cat resides nearby and frequently ventures out to, in their words, monitor the situation. While it may not have received any Olympic medals, it certainly won the hearts of many. If the Olympics included a category for most spectacular on-screen appearance, who would you support? Describe the medal your cat would deserve for dribbling, acrobatics, or rapid sprats consumption.
Fact number 96. A cat's actions prevented an airplane from departing, potentially averting a disaster. In the year 2016, at Addis Ababa Airport in Ethiopia, passengers were already seated on board when a cat found its way into the cockpit. It appeared from beneath the instrument panel and began moving about the cockpit, scratching at various surfaces. The crew decided to abort the takeoff. A subsequent inspection revealed a short circuit in a wiring compartment, possibly caused by a rodent. The cat detected the smell of burning, sought refuge, and then, through its behavior, alerted to the potential hazard. It was subsequently named Lieutenant Meow. The airline's report described the event as unsanctioned but timely diagnosis.
97th fact. A cat became an unexpected participant in a church service, falling from the organ during Mass. In an ancient church in Bruges, Belgium, during a service, a loud meow came from the ceiling above the choir, followed by a cat landing on the choir stalls. The cat landed on a pew, crossed in front of the altar, and vanished into a side passage. The congregation was momentarily stunned, while the organist quipped, "It was a sign from above," or from the side. The video of this event went online and accumulated millions of views. The cat was subsequently adopted by the church, named Gloria, and given a small wreath. Now the churchgoers say, if she's present, the service will be a success.
Fact number 98. The ability of cats to differentiate human faces and show preferences has been confirmed. It was long thought that cats identified humans solely by their voice and scent. However, research conducted at Harvard University revealed otherwise. Cats can distinguish their owner's face from that of a stranger, particularly with frequent visual contact. In addition, cats exhibit emotional selectivity. They gaze longer at those who interact with them more frequently, show affection, and provide care. One research participant recounted that her cat would look at a picture of her spouse, but ignore a picture of her former partner. Who would dare claim that cats are incapable of assessing people based on their appearance?
Fact number 99. In Canada, a cat officially held the position of yoga instructor. A yoga instructor in Vancouver began including her cat, Molly, in her classes. This was due to Molly's persistent meowing at the classroom door. Over time, students started bringing Molly toys, and she began mimicking yoga poses, such as downward-facing dog and cobra. The students reported feeling a unique energy emanating from her. A year later, Molly was officially scheduled as a Thursday motivator. A sign was placed in the studio. If you're less flexible than the cat, don't worry, she has 7 lives to practice. A cat arrived at a police station in Toyama, Japan, in the year 2010. The cat entered the reception area, settled onto the floor, and remained there. Officers fed and stroked the cat, which responded with purrs. After 1 month, an observation board was introduced, where daily cat behavior was recorded. A duty rota was then implemented to ensure regular feeding. 6 months later, the city experienced a rise in police contacts. People visited not only for official business, but also to see Inspector Mitsu. The cat became a living symbol, enjoying a level of trust comparable to a general. If you smiled at this, share your suggestions for a police cat's name in the comments. Sheriff Fluffy? Inspector Meow? General Paws?